Simpson kills those two people so hard, they stop making the Ford Bronco.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, everybody. How are we all doing? It's me, Legal Vices, and we are here. We are live. It is 10:02 p.m. on a Thursday in dark and cool, chilly autumn evening Korea. How are we all doing? Oh, let's see. You guys have been talking for a bit while I've been gone. Waiting for me to get here. Ms. Amanda, she started off by saying, I turned on notifications for your stream because I'm using you as my alarm clock. I need to be up at that time, so don't be late. Wait, I better get back up in just in case. All right. Well, hey, wake up. Wake up. Wake up. I hope you're awake, Ms. Amanda. Nicole is here. Who else is here? Rose is here. We got Maud Rose. Maud Rose. Alan is here as well. So we got two mods. That's a good start. We've got 53 of you here and 38 likes. That's off to a pretty good start, but why we don't have 53 likes is beyond me. Libertarian Communist, did Law and Crime YouTube channel really just change to a 4-play only model? What? I say they want $2 a month to be able to watch whatever they're going on live now? Well, it wasn't that way a few minutes ago. Weird. Okay. Really? All right. Well, that's something fun to look at right now, isn't it? No, because I'm looking at them right now too. Let me just pull something up here on YouTube. Let's go to Law and Cuck. Okay, Law and Crime Network. We're going there now. Let's go to their live. Let's go to Extreme Skier. Nope, everything works perfect for me. Weird. I wonder if it's I wonder if you have YouTube the premium. I wonder if that's a big deal. I wonder if that changes it. Anywho, I don't have to pay to watch. That's weird. I mean, you like live. I was pulling up their live replay videos. They don't have anything live right this second. At least not that I can see. Nothing is actually live right now. But I pulled up the live feed and I can watch them fine. I wonder if it's like I said, I have YouTube Premium, so I wonder if that's part of the deal. I don't know. Anywho, we can watch it, so I don't care. You have YouTube Premium, they still want your money. Weird. Live. I don't see anything playing live on Law and Crime right now. Huh. I'll have to wait until later when something live is on. But I don't see anything live on Law and Crime right now. Huh. All right, whatever. But if there's a link someone wants to it still has the pay option. I'm not seeing any of this. Maybe maybe there's like rolling it, or maybe it's in the US. I don't know. Weird. Scroll to the live column. They are live now. I am live. Oh. Weird. But I don't see anything as being live right now. The last one I have is this trial streamed 15 hours ago. The Florida murder trial. Huh. All right. Here's one. Rose sent the link. Let's check it out. Oh, it just says something went wrong. That's weird. And what trial is that, Rose? This is kind of interesting. We're doing this live and on the fly. Okay. Pike County Massacre. Pay to watch. Huh. Subscribe. Weird. Okay, I don't even have the option to pay to watch. That doesn't even come up. Huh. Dang. All right. Huh. Well, that's interesting. We'll have to okay, yes, no playback on that link. Weird. Yeah. So anywho, I mean, I just have the Pike County massacre trial from yesterday, 15 hours ago. All right. Anyway, whatever. That's something to worry about a bit later. Huh. What an interesting, weird way to start the day. Yeah. Huh. Well, that's really interesting. I'm gonna have to look at that. That would suck if I've started streaming this trial and now I can't watch it. But watch live. This is weird. All right. Anywho, I'll worry about it at some point later. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Here we are. It is Thursday. We're just trying to figure out what was going on with law and crime. And again, I don't even, that's weird. I have no idea what's going on, but apparently it's not a thing here for law and crime in Korea. I don't know again if that's just because of okay, this is just all we've got here. When I pull up the live, it simply says the last thing uploaded on the live was the fleeing girlfriend murder trial yesterday, 15 hours ago, and nothing else. Kitty sent a screenshot. Okay. Well, weird. I'm not getting a Twitter screenshot either. Oh, here we go. Law and Crime Live Trial Network. Okay, I didn't. Is that that must be a different law and crime stream, because mine's just called Law and Crime. Law and Crime Network, not Law and Crime. What's the courtroom drum? $1.99 a month, recurring cancellation. Weird. Oh, all right, anyway, whatever. I'll see. It doesn't affect me right now, so we'll deal with that later. Right now, we're talking about OJ Simpson. It is OJ Simpson Thursday. We're going to do this for about an hour and a half, and then we will hopefully go over to Law and Crime for their stream. So where are we at here, and what are we doing? We're gonna put aside the Law and Crime issue for a minute, and figure out what's going on with OJ Simpson. Huh. How fascinating. Alrighty. Anywho. Weird. Looks like we're living in two different law and crime networks. All right. Enough of that. Stop obsessing about that. All right. Hi, I'm Legal Vices, and we don't give a shit about them right now. So here we are. It is part 10 of our OJ Simpson series. We're going to dive straight into this real quick here. What we've got going is we are in the middle of watching Mark Fuhrman, this cop who has said lots of racist things and possibly planted evidence, being totally eviscerated by F. Lee Bailey, one of the greatest defense lawyers ever to walk planet Earth. I don't want to give too much of the backstory because I repeat myself every time we do this and it annoys you. So let's just say this. We're not watching the whole trial. We're not trying to convince anybody whether he did it or not. Like I said, this was 27 years ago. You've already made up your mind. You know if he's guilty. You know if he's not guilty. You know if he may have done it, but the state didn't put on a good enough case to absolve reasonable doubt. So what we're doing is I just want to show you how the idea of reasonable doubt can be planted in the minds of the jurors by expert orators, expert legal minds, fantastic logic. This is what we're doing. We're not trying to convince anybody of anything. We're just trying to show you what happens when you get some of the brightest legal minds in history on your team, and see what arguments they can come up with. We're in Mark Fuhrman now. Mark Fuhrman being cross-examined by F. Lee Bailey. And to give you a sort of a short run-up on how all of this happened with Mark Fuhrman up to this point, this is I believe our fifth or sixth week doing Mark Fuhrman's cross-examination. We should finish his cross-examination next week. And then 2 weeks from now, be getting into the we're going to go through a little time warp and get into the witnesses testifying about Mark Fuhrman. So that's where we're. But what we've done is Mark Fuhrman single-handedly found the two most important pieces of evidence in the trial: the bloody glove and blood on the Ford Bronco. Both times he found those pieces of evidence, he was alone. He was in places he wasn't told to be. He was not instructed to be there. He wasn't instructed to look for anything. He was told to be doing something else, or he wasn't told to be doing anything. He just kind of wandered around and magically found the blood on the Bronco and the bloody glove behind OJ Simpson's guest house. The problem with finding the blood on the Bronco is he talked about finding blood on and in the Bronco. And then under cross-examination, he admitted that if he said in the Bronco, he must have misspoke. He only meant on the Bronco, on a couple little drops on the door. He got caught. So far he's been caught in so many little lies, just that are insignificant. But he's totally having to change his story every few minutes under cross-examination, it begins to eat away at his credibility. And then there's the example of finding the bloody glove. When he's talking about seeing the bodies at the murder scene, when he's talking about the gloves near Ron Goldman's feet, he says them, plural, not a glove or the glove. He says them. And again, he was all alone when he was down there, when he saw them, the gloves. And then mysteriously, one shows up at the other side of the city. Well, not the other side of the city, the other scene, OJ Simpson's house. And he finds that one. He talks about having to go through cobwebs and things to find this glove behind the place. But under cross-examination, he is asked, well, if you're going down there and someone else has already been there and dropped that glove, why would you still be going through spider webs? Why would you still be going through cobwebs? And then there was some allegations. I mean, it was more than that. He was getting just brutalized because he was changing his story so often. And then it turns out that his personal lawyer sent out a letter asking for $100,000 to cover expenses of Mark Fuhrman's defamation suit against the defense team, and I believe it was Newsweek, for bringing up his racist past and possibly him planting evidence. So he filed a defamation suit against them, and his lawyer was crowdfunding before crowdfunding was a thing. His lawyer sent out this letter to a bunch of policemen saying he's got $1,000 in cost, $100,000 in costs. Please donate. Please help out a fellow officer with his money, which raises the specter that he has a financial interest in the outcome of this case. One of the detectives that's finding all of this evidence has a financial interest in it because he's been called a racist and someone who plants evidence. But if OJ Simpson is ultimately found guilty, that sort of exonerates him and says, yeah, see, okay, fine, this is it. I didn't plant the evidence, so therefore these guys defamed me. But if the case is, if he's found not guilty, which happened, then that could be okay because you accused me of doing this and whatnot. So the defense is arguing he has a financial interest. Now they want to call his lawyer. They want to call Mark Fuhrman's lawyer to ask about this letter for $100,000. They're saying because the letter says he's incurred $100,000 in costs, they're saying that if that lawyer cannot bring the receipts and show that he has actually already incurred the $100,000, he's committed mail fraud, which is a felony, a big felony. So they're calling in his ability to find important pieces of evidence into question. They're questioning his financial motive. And then they bring up the racism part, where this lady overheard him talking to some people at a Marine recruiting station several years before this. And she saw who it was on TV, and she was mad at the defense because they were talking about race. But then she looked up and saw who they were talking about and realized, oh my God, I know this guy. I saw him down there and he was saying some really vile racist shit. So she writes the defense and says, I think you should know about this. Kathleen Bell is her name. They're referring to her as the Kathleen Bell problem right now. So Kathleen Bell writes this letter saying he said all of these racist things. And there's another officer, another Marine that was there, a black guy who had said that there was some racist things said that day. So under cross-examination, they asked Mark Fuhrman, did you say the N-word? And F. Lee Bailey stuck it repeatedly with a hard R. And he said, no. He adamantly said, no, I do not use that word. I have never said that word. I have never referred to anybody, any African-American as the N-word. I don't use it. It's not part of my vocabulary. And he said, have you ever used this anytime for any reason in the past 10 years? No. Absolutely not. So if anybody comes on this witness stand and says that you have used this word in the last 10 years, that means by very definition, they are a liar. And he says, oh yes, most definitely they are a liar. He doesn't use that word and has never used it in the last 10 years. But it was also interesting. They pointed out that although you have filed a defamation suit against everybody that has mentioned you possibly being racist, you did not file your defamation suit against the lady that directly said you used racist language. It could be she's too poor and he knows if he wins the lawsuit against her, he's not going to get anything out of it. Or it could be that she's telling the truth, and truth is a defense against defamation. So that's hanging up in the air. And now where we're joining this today is that they're sitting there. Mark Fuhrman's on the stand. F. Lee Bailey is talking about preparing him for the trial. He said that he met with some lawyers about 2 or 3 weeks before the trial, and they were going over the trial. He said he didn't find it useful. 3 lawyers in the room only asked him about 8 questions. They never told him how to act they never brought up racism issues. They never told him how to act when he's confronted with the charges of racism. It was only 2 or 3 weeks ago, but he couldn't remember a single question he was asked. He could barely remember who was in the room. It wasn't helpful. It wasn't useful. And now he's being grilled on this. And that's kind of where we're going to jump in here as soon as we clear off a couple of these super chats. We've got 2 super chats to start the day. Oh, first, by the way, 271 of you here now, 119 likes. We need to keep this thing going. Everybody hit that like button. We need to be up over 200 really quick. Let's get the fuel going. Let's get the fire lit under YouTube to recommend this channel and this video so that we can have fun. We can increase our audience. Put us on that page and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Mods, thank you for being here. Flux has just joined us, and Flux is one of our first super chatters of the day. I'm going to be watching the chats as much as I can and responding to as many as I can, but the super chats guarantee you get priority. We address yours first and absolutely guarantee I will answer your questions and comment on what we've got. We've got 2 super chats right now. Corin Pope, I will pay for your law and cuck. Thanks for all you do to get my Nicole Moss emails. Can't wait for the endurance. Got the Nicole Moss emails. The endurance will be coming up next Monday, and I just don't even have an option to pay for it. Like I said, I'm not worried about what Law and Crime is doing. I'll have to figure that out at some other point. We can't get bogged down on this stream worrying about them, but we'll look into it and figure it out. The best we can do. Flux, nothing like Officer Bright Eyes yesterday. We're going to have another guy that looks similar to Officer Bright Eyes today. Mark could get a job as a writer as he is such a great storyteller. Talk about a God complex. Well, there you go. I agree. And apparently he did some fine detective work after this, but his career was largely destroyed because of what's happening right now that we're watching and what happens a few months later, which we're going to get to in about 2 weeks' time. All righty. That's the ramp up. That's the run up. Let's jump into the video for at least the next hour. We're going to get through a bunch here. Let's go get those super chats in, hit that like button. We're only at 158. It's barely over half. Come on, guys. Half of you need to get down there and start hitting that like button because that's what we enjoy. Oops, I just about closed the window instead of opening it. Boom, there we go. Again, there are no subtitles on this. Sorry about that. The video, I don't know how the volume is going to be. Just let me know if the video's a little quiet. And we will proceed up to that point. Let's go. Right here. Pull that down. Hit the start.
That's the area right there.
Okay, so that is fairly close to the fence, as I suggested, but you had in mind a different fence when you said it was not.
Yes, sir, I was talking about the north fence.
The north fence?
Yes.
And
Let me know if I need to
we're
pump the
talking now
volume
about
up a little bit.
Yes.
Now, what I was trying to learn is this. Number one, with the spot of your flashlight, in the ambient light conditions coming from the house, I guess, you fellas hadn't artificially lighted anything when you were there with spots and floods, had you?
No, sir.
Okay, you were operating with flashlights and whatever light could be gained from the open door of the house.
Yes, sir.
All right. With the little flashlight that you have been handling, been capable of illuminating the area immediately outside the east wall of that fence, which is on our right as we look at the photograph.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Take it down.
We've got a meme copium raid. Welcome, meme folks. As long as you're here, make sure you hit that like button. We need to get up over 200 likes as quickly as possible to kick off the YouTube engines. Let's do it. The likes that's the most important part to live streamers and streamers in general. That's the #1 matrix that YouTube looks at. So, all right, now they're going to start going in on the meeting. We get through that.
We neglected to print 1056 with the arrow where Mr. Harris put it next to the, I'm sorry. Mr. Harris is ahead. May that be 1056A, Your Honor?
1056A.
And the other one then would be 1057A.
Yes. Hard copy of the beach.
Come on, hurry up.
From your recollection, could you go through?
Okay.
Detective Furman, as best you can from your recollection, could you go through the meetings that you had with prosecutors since January?
Okay. This is now March 15th. So for the last 2 months, he's going to ask about all of the meetings he's had with his lawyer to prepare for this. What he's getting at is you've been coached. You've been told how to answer these questions because they're concerned about your racist history. So, oh my Lord in heaven. Wow, we've got 2 super chats to get here right now. Baloney Bong, how much would I have to donate for you to stout a scotch next time you're drinking on stream? I don't know what you mean by stout a scotch. You'll have to clarify what you mean by that because I don't have any idea. Sorry, but apparently not much. I don't know. And a $100 super chat from Kristen Russell. Holy crap. Shots for everyone. I'm breast cancer free as of yesterday. And also, this is a bit intolerable. Wow. Dang, let me see. Oh, I accidentally still have some whiskey left over here on the table next to me next to Monday. That's the rules here. If any of you are feeling super chatty, $100 gets a shot, gets a special comment from me. There we go. Kristen Russell, congratulations to you. Bless you. And I hope you have an absolute, amazingly wonderful, incredibly long life. You've beaten breast cancer. You're cancer-free. Cheers to you. I mean, that's a thing. That is a huge thing. It affects all of us. I know we all have family and friends that have gone through similar things, but you've beat it. You're cancer free as of yesterday. Cheers to you. Congratulations. That's really good news. I'm really happy for you. All right, let's get back to him questioning him about the problems of these meetings. He's being coached, he's being prepared, he's being warned about racist stuff, and that's what F. Lee Bailey's going after.
January 1, and simply tell us who was present and how long they took.
I've met with Mr. Darden.
All right, start with the first one you can recall. Do you have any date in mind as to when this first meeting with Mr. Darden might have taken place?
I believe I probably met with Miss Lewis before Mr. Darden.
Miss Lewis?
Yes.
Okay. And could you tell us when that occurred?
No, sometime this year.
Within the past week?
Well, I've seen her frequently because she's in the DA's office, but not all of the contacts were talking about anything to do with testimony.
Was any one lawyer at each of the meetings where testimony or the case, either one, was discussed?
No.
The first meeting that you had with Miss Lewis, when would you estimate that it took place? In January, February, or March?
I'm not sure, sir.
See, this is such utter crap. And he expects people to believe this. It's March. Did you meet her this month? Did you meet her? This is March 15th, as you can see. Did you meet her in the last 15 days? Did you meet her in January? When? I mean, he can't even narrow it down to when he met her in the last 3 months. Nobody believes that. If you were pulled into a room by a lawyer and said, let's talk about this, you would know if it happened 2 weeks ago or if it happened 3 months ago. There is no reason for him to obfuscate like this. No reason whatsoever. And it just destroys his credibility.
You can't tell us whether it was more than 3 weeks ago or less?
Well, I've talked to her several times over several months.
I appreciate that, but I'd ask that you use your best memory to inform us of when you first met with Miss Lewis about this case, testimony or otherwise, and how long that meeting was.
And certainly you'd remember meeting her.
I'm not sure.
That was
As
hot
far
back in
as
the
emotions,
90s.
It could have been. I met her last year or talked to her on the phone, but I don't recall exactly.
Did you or didn't you meet with the prosecution last year about the case after the preliminary hearing?
I did not. I did not.
Well, what did you mean when you said, I may have met her last year over the phone or otherwise about some motions?
Well, I might have been asked about something that's no longer part of this trial or a motion that I get phone calls, sir. I don't write them down. I don't log them in. I don't know what to tell you.
You're a detective who doesn't always take notes.
I take notes about phone calls, or that's all I do.
Okay. Well, how many times did you speak with...
And I love the way F. Lee Bailey does these condescending little things. Like, okay, you didn't take notes? Oh, so you're a detective that doesn't take notes. And he gives the answer, and he's like, oh, all right. I love those little, all right, okay.
Prosecution on the phone as opposed to personally about this case, starting in 1994, if you can.
I've talked on the phone with prosecutors about when we could get together or meet, and that's kind of difficult because of the scheduling.
All that aside, Detective Furman, when did you talk with a prosecutor about a motion in 1994?
Sir, I don't have a day calendar. I don't have a day calendar. I write those memos in.
I understand, but you have a memory. You remember this crime occurred in June of 94, don't you?
Okay, do you remember this? Do you remember this murder happened? Do you remember that? That's a good start. Do you remember there was a murder? Now, baloney. Yeah, I mean that wasn't like an. I was talking to Baloney Bong. Put something in the chat what you mean by stout a scotch. Just you don't have to do a super chat. Just put something there. I'm curious what you mean by stout a scotch.
Yes.
All right. Now tell us as best you can, what was the motion that you were discussing on the phone?
Well, sir, there's been so many things going on.
Yes.
I couldn't tell you.
He has nosy
when I talked to
paraphernalia.
some people about.
Didn't ask you that. What was the nature of the motion that required that you be consulted, if you know?
I don't, sir.
Was it a motion about Kathleen Bell?
You can
I've
answer.
talked to.
You can answer the question.
I've talked to Ms. Lewis about Kathleen Bell's motion. Yes.
All right. And was that in 1994 when it was presented or filed?
It could have been.
All right. Did you talk on January 3rd when it was argued? Or thereabouts?
I don't recall a date, no.
Were you in the prosecutor's office in the month of January?
I believe so, yes.
On what occasions? And start with the first one, please.
Sir, I cannot remember a date, and I couldn't give you a time.
You kept no record whatsoever of your visits.
Why would I do that?
Were you on duty?
Yes.
Did you have to account for someone as to
Gotcha.
where you were going and why?
We'll talk.
No, when the DA's office wants to talk to a detective, they obviously will talk to him. There's nobody that would need to give me permission. I just say I'm going to the DA's office.
Well, who would you tell? Someone had to know where you were, didn't they?
Yes, sir.
Well, who's your boss? Detective
Ron Phillips.
Okay. Did you tell Detective Phillips on those occasions when you were coming downtown to work on this case where you were going?
Yes.
And do you know if any records of any kind are kept about these visits?
Not to my knowledge.
Were the prosecutors keeping any records of your visits that you know of?
I don't know, sir.
All right. Now, do you leave it?
God, just say you went and met with him. What is so hard about that? And Ms. Amanda, it's good to see you woke up. Congratulations. Yeah, what is so hard about just saying, yes, we went down there in January, we talked about this? You don't look like a dick, and you don't undermine your case by being dodgy and evasive.
The court that if you had a meeting with Ms. Lewis in January, you were not certain of it.
That's correct.
You just don't have any memory of meeting this woman in January, the one seated at the table here to my far right.
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Okay. Try again. Did you or did you not see Ms. Lewis in January in this building?
I'd say I could have, but I couldn't tell you exactly when, so I can't say for sure.
Is she the first lawyer that you met and talked to?
After the prelim?
In 1995. We'll just leave 94 alone for now.
I don't know if she's the first, sir.
You don't know.
No.
Does anyone else come to mind as being the person who started off this whole series of interviews?
No.
Was it Mr. Darden?
No.
Was it Ms. Clark?
No.
Any other lawyers not seated here today that you've worked with on this case?
No.
Mr. Hodgman?
No.
Okay. So,
Okay.
January, then, I take it, is a blank.
No.
May we now turn to February? Do you have any memory of coming to this building in February and meeting with someone?
Yes?
When was the first meeting in February that you can recall, Detective
can't.
Phillips?
I can't recall when in February.
I'm not asking for a date in a minute. Can you say early, middle, late? Give us any help at all?
I'd say it would be fair to say probably early part of February and the latter part.
All right. Who was present at the meeting, the first one?
I've talked to Mr. Darden, talked to Ms. Clark, I've talked to Ms. Lewis.
Does that mean you cannot remember who was present at the first meeting?
That's correct.
And that was early in February, you think?
Yes.
Okay. When was the one after that?
I mean, how stupid is it? It's March 15th. It was at most 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago, you can't remember when you had the meeting, you can't remember who was at the meeting, and you can't remember anything that was discussed in the meeting. That does not bode well for your career as a detective. I mean, that's just ridiculous that he would expect anybody in the jury to believe that nonsense.
I'm not sure, sir.
Early,
I think he's just being a
middle,
dick.
or late? Can you help us at least that much as to meeting number 2 in February, Detective Furman?
Sometime in the latter part of February.
All right. So you had a meeting in the early part of February, being the first one of that month, and you don't remember who was at that meeting, correct?
No.
And then you had a meeting at the latter part of February, with whom, if you recall?
I've talked to all these prosecutors that are seated before me.
All at once?
No, they work a team. I could talk to one, I could see another one the next day or the next hour.
Well, let's try and approach it another way. Of the 3 prosecutors facing you, with whom did you spend the most time talking about the case?
Probably Miss Clark.
When's the first time you can remember seeing Miss Clark in a meeting that you attended in this building? In February.
I believe in latter part of February.
Okay. Do you remember how long the meeting was?
We didn't have many meetings or discussions that lasted much longer than an hour once we got started.
Do you remember the day of the week that the meeting occurred?
No, I don't.
Do you have any memory of the time of day that the meeting occurred?
It would be after court or maybe an afternoon on a weekend, but I can't remember that period of time or day a week with the person.
Let's just hope you're not a detective in a star murder case.
When was the next February meeting you had after number 2 late in the month with Ms. Clark?
Sir, I don't know.
Don't know.
No.
But Detective Furman, when I asked you if you'd had 10 meetings and you said 8 would be more like it, where did you get that number?
I just felt 10 was too many.
See, what kind of stupid effing answer is that? And how many meetings? We couldn't remember how many meetings he had. Oh, I don't remember how many meetings he had. Well, did he have 10? No, more like 8. Well, why 8? Because 10 seemed like too much. Just nothing he says makes any damn sense. You don't just say 8 because it's less than 10 and you don't think that you had 10 meetings. That's when you legit say, I don't know. I don't think it was 10. I think it was less than 10, but I couldn't put an exact number on it. Nothing wrong with saying that, but 8. Okay. When were these 8 meetings? Well, I don't know if it was 8. Well, why did you say 8? Oh, because it's less than 10. I mean, BS. And it's so stupid. It's so stupid to lie like this.
It just felt like I'm more comfortable with 8.
What, did you pick 8 out of the air? Or do you remember having approximately 8 meetings with prosecutors?
Sustained.
Did you have a memory when you gave us that answer of about 8 meetings with prosecutors?
Overruled.
That felt like a comfortable number, yes.
All right. Why did it feel comfortable?
It's a comfortable
More
number.
than 5 and less than 10.
Then why didn't you say more than 5, less than 10?
Are there any more meetings in February other than the 2 that you've described that you can recall now, Detective Furman?
I can't recall the specifics. I didn't take note of these. Many times it was inconvenient, and sometimes we got nothing accomplished because of scheduling and things going on with people's personal lives. Sometimes they were not much of meetings at all because of people's lives.
And were there some times when disagreements prevented anything from being accomplished?
I don't recall that.
Don't recall having any disagreement.
No.
All right. Now, how about March? Do you recall some meetings in March?
Now, mind you, it's March 15th. And he's drawing a blank on any meetings he's had within the past 15 days. This is day 2 or day 3 of him on the stand. So let's say 12 days before trial. In the 12 days before he got on the stand, he can't he can't think how many times he's met with them and what they discussed. If any of you believe that, I'm really, really sorry for you.
We have met, yes, in March.
The first one in March that you can recall, and I assume that it would have to be early or middle.
Yes, early in March.
Okay. Any idea what date?
I believe it was on I don't know the date, it would be on a weekend.
A weekend in March.
Yes,
All right. That'd be the first weekend in March if it was early in March?
could have been.
Well, it's the 15th. It can only be the first or the second.
Recall a Saturday
Was it
or
yesterday or before?
I believe it was a Saturday.
And who was present?
Miss Clark,
How long did you talk?
about an hour, hour and a half.
Was anyone else present during that hour to hour and a half?
People came in and gave her messages or papers that I didn't know what she was receiving, and then they left.
All right. But were any of the other lawyers seated at this table or other lawyers working on this case outside the courtroom present during this hour to hour and a half?
Periodically, an attorney would come in and give her something. Sometimes they would stay for a moment, then they would leave.
Well, let me narrow it a little bit, Detective Furman. During this hour to hour and a half, did any lawyer connected to this case come in and participate in what you and Ms. Clark were doing?
No.
All right, so that you talked together for 60 to 90 minutes about
Yes.
the case.
Yes, sir.
None of these people have ever had conversations with you about other matters, have they?
What are other matters?
Other than the case?
Oh, God. Did you talk about the case? A little bit. And did you talk about anything else? What do you mean? Anything else other than the case, you I'm going to start swearing. This guy makes me swear. I'm trying not to swear this early on in the stream, but I'm losing it. Bass is a member for 3 months of the Clean and Sober, and he says grounds for the Chia Pet. Awesome. And now Libcom said, I have good news. Law and Crime are not attempting to charge anyone for the actual live streams. You're confusing the F out of me today. I'm naturally a confused person. Now you're just making it difficult for me to know what's going on. All right. I'm literally getting hot here. I mean, like the temperature wise, because my blood pressure is going up. All right, hit that like button. I'll just yell that out while I'm stuck here. We got 446 people and 256 likes, and we'll call that slightly over half. We need to get like 500 likes. I want to get 500 likes, even though we only have 447 people here. So go for it. All right, let's go.
Overruled. You can answer the question.
I don't understand the question.
All right,
Of course
let me
you don't,
rephrase
you
it.
idiot.
You have told us that you spent a number of hours talking with these people, among others, about the case.
Yes.
You don't socialize with any of these lawyers, do you?
No.
Haven't seen them outside the work environment, have you?
No.
And you don't have any other cases going with them at the moment, do you?
No, sir.
Okay. So is it fair to say that all of the discussions you have had with these people in 1995 have been about the case?
No.
There's none.
No.
What other things were talked about?
Chris Dard and I talked about basketball.
Okay.
Miss Lewis talks about scuba diving.
All right. Were these dominant themes or just small talk as part of the overall conversation?
Just conversation.
All right. But the main purpose, I take it, of each encounter, even though there may have been other subjects touched upon, was the case, People against Simpson.
Yes.
And your role in that case.
Yes.
Now, the total number of meetings in March that you can recall, excluding the grand jury session.
2 or 3.
All right. The first was with Ms. Clark for 60 to 90 minutes. When was the one that you meant when you said 2?
I believe that was during the weekday after court with Miss Clark.
And when was that?
I believe the following week.
So if you met on a Saturday, then some day during the following week after court had adjourned. I take it it was late in the day.
I believe so, sir.
And how long did that session last?
I recall it was about an hour.
And were any other lawyers involved to the extent of participating in that conversation that you were having?
I think periodically Miss Lewis came in and out.
Did she stay long enough to
Part
position
of it.
herself in the conversation or just drop something and take off?
Well, a lot of times when another person comes into the room, Miss Clark will stop, take care of business, or wait till they leave, and then we continue.
All right. My question to you was Ms. Lewis assisting Ms. Clark in some way in the preparation for this case, or simply coming in and out on other matters other
No.
than the Furman testimony?
No, Miss Clark dealt with me directly.
And you said 2 or 3. If there was a third, what's your recollection as to that?
Close to the beginning of my testimony, or close to that week.
The testimony began, I believe, last Thursday.
Yes, sir.
So how long prior to that was your meeting with Ms. Clark, if it occurred? And I'm now looking for a third one.
Yes, that was very brief.
You're looking for a third
How
meeting.
long prior to the onset of your testimony did it occur?
2, 3 days?
Not the day before?
I don't believe so, no.
You weren't in the building the day before?
I was in the building the day before, yes.
What were you doing?
Waiting to testify.
Not talking with anyone?
No.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Was
Okay.
your lawyer with you at the time?
No, he was watching the TV, and I was not.
Now, have you spent any time with him, without going into anything that was said, preparing for your testimony in this case?
Preparing for direct testimony in this case?
No. Preparing for the cross-examination you assumed would follow hard on the heels of direct?
I think I've gotten some general advice, much the same as I've gotten from most of the people I know.
Okay.
Okay.
And you have been urged to remain calm, have you not?
I'm going to sustain the court's own objection in the context of the
I'm
previous
sorry.
question.
I mean to exclude Mr. Tortolo from any question that has substance of a conversation in it. I do not ask to go into anything he said to you. But you mentioned that you had advice from a lot of people, and what I meant to ask you was, did a lot of people say it was very important to remain calm?
Overruled.
It's not irrelevant, Marcia. Shut up.
Were any documents, books, or other materials given to you or exhibited to you at any of these sessions to assist you in your role as a witness in this case?
No,
You have read no books on how to be a good witness?
no,
None on cross-examination?
none,
Have you watched any films or tapes that relate to that subject?
none,
And have you discussed your position with fellow officers and sought their advice as to how to be an effective witness?
no.
Now, Detective Furman, is it not fair to say that in your 19-year career, this is by far the most important case in which you've been involved?
Yes or no? Okay, yes, good.
Is it not also true that you realize now, as you did back on June 13th, that the right hand
just
leather
wait.
glove
Wait a couple of
claimed
weeks.
to have found in Rockingham could be a very significant piece of evidence in this case?
Yes, sir.
And are you aware of the fact that your testimony, as it pertains to that evidence, may be very, very important to this court?
Yes,
Did you anticipate, based on what you had been told, that some sort of attack might be visited upon you with respect to alleged racial slurs?
See, this is what makes a good orator. The words he's using. That is beautiful. Normal people don't talk like that. But as a great orator in court, he does. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I mean, it's just, nothing. I mean, that would just be fun to do. We'll just do it. We'll do a fun stout Scotch thing next time we do the F it Friday. Boss, general advice. Oh, Bass, sorry. General advice. No N-bombs, Mark. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good advice. He should have kept that in mind before. But while we're here, let's just quick to let you know. I forgot to mention this. I finally got my merch, my Legal Vices coffee cup. The links are down there in the description. The link to the store. If you want to get a Legal Vices cup, it's there on the back. It says this is a cocktail glass. End of that particular grift. I was just mentioning it because I have some of the Dragon's Treasure cherry green tea in here, and it is fantastic. Vince Clortha, new member. Thank you so much, Vince Clortha. Welcome to the Clean and Sober Level. Super, super, super. Excuse me. Yep, this arrived intact. I got a grounds cup from Megan Fox that she made during the Brooks trial, but it arrived in about 5 pieces. So, but mine made it here fair and square. Got it. All right, let's get back into this nonsense. Thank you so much for joining the membership, and thank you, Bass, for the super chat.
no,
Was it a surprise to you when those questions were put?
Oh, sorry. We were talking about the awesomeness with which F. Lee Bailey phrases things. Listen again closely to how he just asks him this very simple question in a beautiful, prosy kind of way.
To alleged racial slurs.
no,
Was it a surprise to you when those questions were put by Marcia Clark at the very outset of your testimony?
Oh, wait, we didn't get there fast enough. All right, hang on. Okay, here we go.
Did you anticipate, based on what you had been told, that some sort of attack might be visited upon you with respect to alleged
That some sort of attack might be visited upon you in relation to racist comments. I just love the way he says things like that. Some sort of attack visited upon you.
racial slurs?
no,
Was it a surprise to you when those questions were put by Marcia Clark at the very outset of your testimony to give you a chance to deny the allegations before I have talked to them? Withdraw the question. Do you recall that when you took the stand, you explained to the jury and to the court that you had had some special sessions because of a problem not related to the facts of the case?
Overruled.
And see, that's what he's talking about. He received some special where they apparently went through some sort of a mock cross-examination regarding his use of the N-word. And now suddenly he can't remember anything about it.
You recall that?
Yes.
All right. Do you recall that Ms. Clark then caused to be displayed to you parts of a letter allegedly written by Kathleen Bell to Johnny Cochran and invited you to examine the text of that letter? Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Had you discussed the fact that this was going to happen before you ever came into the courtroom?
Yes, that part, yes.
This was no surprise to you, was it?
No, sir.
And were you not advised that the effort in doing so was to steal the thunder from the inevitable cross-examination?
The objection was speculation, and it was sustained.
Was it explained to you that this was an effort to defuse the impact of any accusations that might later be made against you?
Sustained.
Why, if there was an explanation, was it explained to you that this method of introducing your testimony was to be used in this case?
It wasn't explained to me, no.
Well,
Bull.
in other words, as I understand it, you were simply told, here's what we're going to do, Detective Furman. Here's the order in which things will happen when you hit the witness stand, and we're not going to tell you why.
I'm not the prosecutor, sir.
I know that you're not the prosecutor, you're the witness. Do you have any comprehension as to why
Do you have any
this
comprehension?
tack was taken by the prosecution?
Yes.
Did you understand that it related to possible experiences you might have on cross-examination?
No.
Okay. What was your understanding as to why this letter was surfaced at the outset of your testimony?
I think his frame of mind is relevant. Overruled. His understanding isn't.
His
No,
understanding.
I've inquired, counsel. It is relevant, his frame of mind.
He already
What was your
ruled.
understanding of why this was done in this case?
Because that's why Ms. Clark, the way she wanted to litigate this case.
And beyond that, you had no comprehension as to why it was done. Is that right?
No.
Did you not
I'm sorry.
testify at the very outset of your testimony that you have been subjected since the preliminary hearing to a barrage of personal attacks which made you nervous as you first sat down in the stand?
Sustained.
Did you tell us something about your experience since July 6th, or a little later, perhaps around the 14th, that was unusual?
No.
Did you tell us anything about problems you had had that were specific to this case and no other and did not relate to the evidence in the case?
Yes.
What did you mean to convey when you told that to this jury? What were you thinking of when you talked about these problems?
Being accused of committing a felony and a capital crime.
Okay. Was that the only accusation that was troubling you as you took the witness stand?
That's the only one I care about, yes.
Yeah, I know what stout beer is, Rose.
The accusations that you used racial
I didn't know what a
epithets you don't
stout
care about
scotch
at all.
was.
Is that correct?
I didn't say them. I don't care about them.
You don't care about them?
I didn't say them, sir.
Witness answered.
Yeah.
I have stouts
Did
in my
you
fridge
read,
right now.
without specifying the publication, in one of the media covering this case, a printed article, that disclosed or purported to disclose that you were undergoing some heavy training in the DA's office? Did you,
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
That was Newsweek, I believe, that said that.
okay. did you learn from any source that it was claimed that you were undergoing some training sessions in the district attorney's office with several lawyers?
I was told that.
Okay. Do you remember when you were first told that?
I believe when that Newsweek article came out.
So, Newsweek, you read it?
No.
No. Who described it to you?
Miss Clark?
Did she read
Miss
it to
Lewis?
you?
Yes.
They
Read
read
it
you
to
the
me?
text?
No.
Was there any talk, this, by the way, occurred after the grand jury experience, did it not?
Yes, sir.
Was there any talk during the period when she was reading this to you about,
Hang on, time out. Rose, the stout scotch he was talking, he explained what he meant. It's a cocktail where you take a glass, you pour 1 ounce of whiskey in it, and then you fill it up with stout and you drink it. So it's a mix of stout and scotch is what he was talking about. We've got that all settled. We don't need to talk about stout scotches anymore. We'll have one of those drinks on the next Effed Friday. Just saying.
a leak?
Appreciate your help though.
Wait,
I'm sorry. I may have misheard you. Did you not just tell us
rephrase the
Ms.
question.
Clark
Correct.
read you the Newsweek article or a portion of it?
I don't believe she read it. No.
What did she say to you that Newsweek was talking about?
She pulled out excerpts of the article.
Well, where were the two of you?
Sitting in her office.
Okay, now, does this help you with one of
KISSING.
the meetings, the recollection of the Newsweek article in March?
Help me with the recollection.
We were trying earlier, Detective Furman, to pin down as best we could the times that you had met with prosecutors in the month of March to get ready for your testimony.
Yes.
At which of the possible 3 meetings that you have some recollection of did the Newsweek article surface?
I don't remember which one it was, sir.
Well, you remember the date on which you did the grand jury thing?
No.
You remember the day of the week?
Sunday?
Sunday?
I believe so.
All right. How long after that did Ms. Clark inform you that Newsweek had described the event?
I don't remember that.
A day or more?
I don't remember, sir.
Is it fair to say that when Ms.
Rose is
Clark
behind in the
informed
stream.
you
Now it all makes
about
sense.
the Newsweek piece, it
Love
was
you, Rose.
after the grand jury exercise had taken place?
That would be fair to say.
All right. Now, were you present in her office when you learned about this? Or on the phone?
I'm not sure on that. I could have been in her office.
You don't recall whether or not you were on a telephone or facing Ms. Clark when you learned that your grand jury training had been published in the media?
I don't remember, sir.
Don't remember. All right.
All right, that's the end of one stream. Now we'll pick up part 2 here. But listen to how much time he is spending explaining that he can't remember a simple meeting. And the fact that he can't remember this meeting and he can't remember reading this article and he doesn't know where he was, it doesn't really affect the case. It's just Bailey going after his credibility. And the more he obfuscates, the more Bailey gets to attack his credibility. The more he says he can't remember, the more times Bailey can think of different ways of asking him the same question without it being cumulative or asked and answered. And he's just making himself look like an obstinate, stubborn, lying idiot. And Bailey is doing an incredible job of that. All he had to say was, yes, I had this meeting. Yes, I read this. I was not really happy that there was an article out there that was, saying that I was getting all of this training and preparing for special testimony, but because it didn't happen. Or even if it did say, yeah, they did want to talk to me about that. Because he's said he has never used that word, and he has definitely never used the N word in the last 10 years. And if anybody says he did, they're a liar. That has boxed him into where he cannot say that he went into a meeting where they specifically were talking to him about how to act when he's confronted with using the N word in the past. Bailey has put him in this deal where he has to lie about one or the other. And now he has to stick with this story, and it's making him look like a complete idiot. Well, execution, I mean, he's forced into this lie by Bailey. Because like I said, if he says, oh yes, we met with them and they were talking, they were afraid I would become angry when confronted with this, when you're talking about, the racist past in this letter. If he says, yes, they did that, then, well, if you've never used this word in the last 10 years, why would they need to prepare you for it? Why would you get angry about it? And then he's screwed again. So Bailey has pushed him into a corner, and he is holding him there as long as he can.
You've told us that you were not surprised when she developed early in your direct examination that you had undergone a practice cross-examination with some lawyers. If you were not surprised, at some point, I take it, you were informed that that was going to happen.
Yes.
Okay. Were you informed that that was going to happen sometime after the Newsweek article came out and you two discussed it?
No, I think Ms. Clark told me that she was going to bring that up on direct, and that was as far as it went.
No. When did she tell you that?
Right before I testified.
Just before you testified?
No, the day before, maybe a day and a half.
Prior to that, you'd never heard of that plan, had you? Isn't that true?
Objection. That's not the evidence.
Overruled.
You want to reapproach?
All right, will the court report, please?
I withdraw the question.
Easier.
You just said that Ms. Clark explained to you a day or two before your testimony that she would elicit from you the fact that you had practiced cross-examination, correct?
I don't know if it was exactly those words, but yes.
To that effect.
Yes, sir.
Was this a day or two before your testimony the first time that this idea of bringing this out was conveyed to you?
Yes.
All right. But at no time after the experience took place and prior to the publication of the Newsweek article were you told that any such disclosure would be made. Isn't that so, Detective Furman?
Objection, Your Honor. It's exactly the point. I'd like to approach.
All right, will the court report, please?
I do not withdraw this time.
All right.
I do not withdraw this time. He wants to get these questions out.
Detective Furman, between the time that you did grand jury
And he
case
won.
preparation
Bailey won the sidebar.
and the time that Ms. Clark brought to your attention the contents of the Newsweek article describing that event, did any prosecutor tell you between those two events we're going to bring the preparation session out early in your testimony?
No.
I didn't hear the answer.
Wait, there's an objection. All right, overruled.
No.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the morning session. Please remember my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves, form any opinions about the case, allow anybody to communicate with you, or perform any deliberations till the matter has been submitted.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right,
All right, they're back. That was a fast
back
break.
on the record in the Simpson matter. All parties are again present. Counsel, did we get a better photocopy of the Tortolo letter? Because
Fedorovsky said this is just a good time for a heads up. Fedorovsky says he has to make a couple of business calls back later. We'll probably be on a new stream by then. We're going to be ending this stream in about 20 minutes, so we can go and catch up on the Florida murder trial that we've been streaming. Speaking of which, people in Florida, how are you guys doing? How's the weather there, and how you guys doing with this hurricane coming in? Hope everybody's safe. I hope you continue to watch when we go over to the Florida murder trial. But hey, safety first. If you need to check out and get somewhere else other than in front of your computer or whatever, you please do. But I hope you guys get through. I hope everybody gets through this hurricane safe and sound. But what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this up in about 20 minutes, and then we'll just do what we did yesterday and dump straight into my other stream. Some people make it. Some people don't get shifted over there automatically. If you don't get shifted over there automatically, just go back to Legal Vices. Just go back to my channel and click on the new on the new link that's there for the trial. So hopefully we'll get through it. Hopefully we'll get through it okay. But the court is closed today, Thursday, because of the hurricane, and it's closed tomorrow as well for the holiday. So that'll give me 2 days to catch up, and we should be able to start Monday live with the court without having to do any makeup streams over the weekend. So that'll be good for me. I get to rest over the weekend. That's the plan for the rest of the night. So 18, 19 minutes from now, we'll shift over to the other stream, and we'll start to plow through. I've sent out some invites. Hopefully I'll have a sidekick for the night. Echiro says nothing bad so far, so that's pretty good. All right, let's go.
I'm going to do that, Your Honor. I don't know whether it's been done.
I must confess that one of the critical lines regarding the amount is obscured on my copy and could be interpreted as 200,000.
Okay, now the jury's out. If you recall, a little bit earlier in this stream, we talked about the fact that his lawyer sent out this letter asking for $100,000 to cover costs. That's what this little discussion is about here. They're going to bring this guy in towards the end of this stream. Yeah, this is his lawyer. You can see in the thumbnail down there. So about an hour from now, they're going to bring him in, and they're going to talk to him about this letter he sent out to everybody.
I think it's pretty plainly 6 figures after the dollar sign.
The problem is the photocopy imperfection is exactly, and it appears to have been reduced as well.
Well, Mr. Totolo's upstairs. I'm sure the government could find out if the original says 100. The newspaper article says it in several places and said that he acknowledged it, so. I can't imagine I'm trying to raise 10.
Ms. Clark? Do we know if that's available? That was our inquiry when we broke for lunch.
I know, I forgot to ask Mr. Tulow, I'm sorry. I can do that.
All right,
We're doing it now.
all right. Are we ready to proceed in the absence of that? I'd like to see read and a clear copy of this letter before we proceed with it.
The court has not issued a ruling then.
No,
Yeah.
one of the critical lines here is obscured to me. And I assume your copy is the same.
Yes.
All right. All right, then let's get as far as we can with the jury this afternoon.
He's a lawyer. Lawyers
All right,
can't do
can you
math.
guys have the jurors, please?
All right, here comes the jury. Back to Mark Fuhrman.
All right, let the record reflect that we've now been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel, that Detective Mark Fuhrman is again on the witness stand, undergoing cross-examination by Mr. Bailey. Good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
You're reminded you're still under oath. Mr. Bailey, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Furman, yesterday when you were quizzed about the contents of the homicide kit in the vehicle that you and Detective Phillips picked up, one of the items that you mentioned that was carried in these kits was plastic bags.
Yes, sir.
Were there any of roughly this type of
Yes, half to your time.
Ziploc sandwich bag size and type of plastic in the homicide kit?
No, we don't have any Ziploc bags.
You don't?
No, we have I'm sorry,
Tell me what you do have.
a jail bag, what you put an arrestee's property in. Then it's heat sealed with a heat seal that's kept in the jail.
Okay. And I believe you said something about different size bags. Is that true?
Well, the jail bags are one size that I know is in there, and then you might have very small ones used for narcotics.
Okay.
Okay, and again, where he's going with this question, why is this important whether or not they have Ziploc bags? They'll bring on testimony later on in the trial that talks about how quickly blood dries, and the blood on the glove found at Simpson's house was still wet. And they'll say in the amount of time that transpired from when the murders were supposed to have occurred to the time it was found, it would have been completely dry unless it had been transported in a closed, airtight plastic bag. So this is where he's getting at with this. He's asking, do you have any of these bags to keep things airtight? And then he's going to go with is it big enough to fit a glove in? And then is it easy to hide? So that's where he's going with this. So if you're wondering what the hell relevance a plastic bag has to do with anything. That's it. To keep the glove moist.
All right, let the record reflect what Mr. Bailey has shown to the witness is a sandwich-size Ziploc bag.
Roughly 6 by 7.5 inches, Your Honor?
Yes.
All right. In other words, plastic bags of various sizes are available for the collection of evidence?
Two that comes to my immediate memory, yes.
Okay, and you mentioned also that rubber gloves are available?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, once again, Detective Furman, have you attempted to find out the identities of the people you were unable to name who were in the grand jury case preparation exercise?
No.
Does the name Melissa Becker mean anything to you?
None at all.
Do you remember any law students being present during that time? Anyone identified you as a law student?
I do not know any of the people in the room.
Sorry, Melissa Decker.
No, I still don't.
Okay. And you don't know whether any of the people in the room were law students?
I don't know what their status was, no.
Is there anyone in this room, other than the lawyers seated at counsel table, who were present during that exercise?
Overruled. Oh, I'm sorry. Stand corrected. Sustained. It does. Rephrase the question.
Yes. Do you see anyone in the courtroom who was present that day, other than these lawyers?
Same objection.
Direct your attention over this area, Detective Furman.
No, Your Honor, same objection, since that's not evidence in the state testimony, assumes that all of us are present.
No, that's not my understanding of the question. Other than these lawyers.
Other than these, it assumes these lawyers were present.
Other than these lawyers here in the courtroom is the way why don't you rephrase the question so it's crystal clear?
You told us Mr. Darden and Ms. Lewis were present.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Clark was not, Ms. Clark was not, I take it.
She was not.
All right. Do you see anyone other than the lawyers? 1, 2, White, and one other that you named, assistant district attorneys, in this courtroom who was present during that session?
I don't believe so.
Looking in the audience, you don't recognize anyone who was present?
No.
Okay. You mentioned a Mr. Runyon. What does he do?
I believe I see him assisting Mr. Darden.
Okay. Have you had any contacts with or interviews with, since the 1st of January, any psychologists?
Objection, Your Honor.
In connection with the
Do you
testimony?
think Marcia used
No.
Soul Glow? Nice.
None at all.
No.
Have you received any counseling from anyone other than lawyers with respect to your testimony?
No.
Okay.
What's the lawyer trying to get at? That he's a racist, uses racist language,
Detective
and he
Furman,
plants
Don
evidence.
Vinson mean anything to you?
Don Vincent, I believe, is a city attorney.
Do you know any other Don Vinson or know of one?
No, sir.
Okay, and how about Mark Goldston? That name mean anything to you?
The name Goldstein does not know.
Quite
Have
possibly.
you had any contact with anyone by either of those names in connection with this case since the 1st of the year?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, thank you. Now, in your direct testimony, you explained to us that at the request of Detective Van Adder, I believe it was you and Detective Phillips, went back to Bundy to review the left-hand glove that you had seen there.
Yes, sir.
And the purpose of that was for you together to make a judgment of some sorts as to the probability that the two gloves were related, the right hand at Rockingham, the left hand at Bundy.
Yes, and to see if they were similar.
Okay. And in connection with that effort, I believe you said that you took a pencil and picked up, or pen, and picked up the glove to see what the lining looked like.
Yes, lifted it up, yes.
Can you explain to me in a little more detail, and you can show us if you wish with this glove, how you picked it up? In other words, where the pencil was put?
I didn't pick it up, sir.
Well, did you lift it at all, or just lift one
Just
flap?
lifted it, yes.
Okay. And how far did you lift it?
A couple inches.
And did you shine your little light on it? Was it light enough so you didn't need to?
Just
by the
little
time
light
you get
again.
back to Bundy?
I was looking predominantly at if it was a right or a left,
Uh-huh.
and the lining,
Okay.
color of the leather.
And you found that they were similar.
Yes,
And then you went back and made your report.
yes,
Now, you remained at Rockingham for some time after that, did you not?
yes, sir.
You know a witness in this case named Ron Shipp?
Yes,
Did he talk to you on the phone that morning?
he did.
Okay. And prior to talking to Ron Shipp, did you make an effort to find out whether anyone in the neighborhood had heard anything unusual that night?
No,
Did you go question anyone in the neighborhood?
no,
Did you go to any home in the neighborhood?
yes.
Whose home?
The house to the north that I now know is the Salinger residence.
All right. And did you encounter someone there that you were able to talk to?
Briefly, yes.
And was that Rosa Lopez?
I have no idea.
You didn't get her name?
No,
You didn't write it down?
no.
Did you?
Oh, God. See, now here we have a detective who actually talks to a potential witness and doesn't write her name down. That doesn't look good, does it?
Ask her if she'd heard anything unusual, just yes or no.
No.
What did you ask her, if you remember?
If I could look down the north border of the residence, something happened next door, and I just wanted to look and see if there was anything on their side of the property.
I'll be right
said
back in
no
1
problem.
minute. Hang tight.
All right. Now, did you make any inquiry as to where her bedroom was, if she had one, with respect to the Simpson house?
Absolutely none, sir.
Did you make any inquiry as to whether or not she had seen anything that night over at the Simpson house?
No, I didn't.
Did you inquire as to whether or not she had heard anything that night at the Simpson house?
No.
By this time in your investigation, having in mind the blood that you discovered on the Bronco and the glove that you discovered in the alleyway, had Mr. Simpson become a suspect in your mind as a detective?
I think there was a remote possibility, but nothing was solid. No.
A remote possibility?
Yes.
Okay. Well, were you present when he
Sorry, the dogs
arrived
wanted to
from
come in.
Chicago and they slapped handcuffs on him? Oh, well,
Yes.
well, when you slap handcuffs on someone, you're taking him into custody, aren't you?
Not always, no.
Oh, you have the right to handcuff a citizen without a criminal charge?
There are instances you could, yes.
Have you done that in the past? Handcuff people against whom there was no charge?
Oh, well.
Oh,
There's times when people pick people out as suspects, and you later identify that they were not the suspect, and you would release them.
But that wasn't the case here, was it?
I don't know what the case, as far as he was handcuffed. I did not order that.
Without going into the details, had you had conversation with the other detectives as to whether or not Orenthal James Simpson was a suspect in the double homicide on Bundy?
No.
That had not ever been discussed prior to your going to the house next door, is that correct?
That's correct.
Had it ever passed your mind, however remotely, that that might be the case?
Not knowing his whereabouts the night before, I felt it was extremely remote.
Not knowing his whereabouts?
I knew he was in Chicago.
Well, you also knew he didn't leave till 11, right?
I didn't know that, no.
You didn't think the limousine was there to pick up anyone else at 11 o'clock, did you?
I didn't know about the limousine other than what Cato initially told me.
How much more do you need to know? He saw a limousine at 11 o'clock. Withdraw.
I love this. He's just being made to look like a fool. Just an absolute fool. For no reason at all. Do you think that the lack of quality of the police work can be compared to Cummings' trial police work? No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as the Cummings. It just, they happen to have huge credibility problems. Yeah, and it's just shit all the way around. And now he's got him saying, okay, I didn't know he'd left. Well, why do you think the limousine was there? And he gets testy, and then he withdraws the question.
Else at 11 o'clock, did you?
I didn't know about the limousine other than what Cato initially told me.
How much more do you need to know? You saw a limousine at 11 o'clock.
Sustained. Sorry,
Withdraw the question. Did that seem significant to you with respect to the whereabouts of the rather famous owner of the house, that there was a limousine there at 11 o'clock?
Objection that states the testimony. This is fact not evidence.
Sustained.
Did Cato Kalin tell you that he saw a limousine there at 11 o'clock when he went outside after he heard the noise?
Yes.
Okay. Now, my question is, did that in any way relate to the possible presence or absence of Mr. Simpson at about that time at his home?
I had no idea.
Did you think maybe the limousine was bringing him back from somewhere?
Sorry.
I did not give it any thought.
Well, you knew he had gone to Chicago, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes, I had been told that by then.
You knew that Detective Phillips talked to him in Chicago, didn't you?
Yes.
The next morning.
Well, I take it we're still in the context of when Detective Furman went next door to the Salingers.
Trying to find out what he then knew.
All right.
Okay. You knew that he reached him in Chicago by telephone, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. And that Detective Phillips was satisfied that the recipient of the call was in fact in Chicago, correct?
Yes.
All right. So at some point he had traveled to Chicago. Did that occur to you?
Of course.
All right. Did a
All right.
question arise in your mind as to when he might have traveled to Chicago?
It did not.
Well, did it occur to you if he traveled to Chicago before the ice cream was purchased, at which point the victim, Nicole Brown Simpson, was very much alive, that he would be eliminated as a suspect insofar as direct participation in the homicide was concerned?
I never gave any of that.
I'm sorry. Ms. Clark?
Just compound your other complaints.
Calls for a conclusion as well. Sustained.
Were you, Detective Furman, during the course of your stay from 2:10 a.m. until you talked to Ship, let's say around 10, is that correct? 10 o'clock?
I don't recall what time he called.
Mid-morning?
I believe so.
All right. Were you engaged in your profession as a detective of the Los Angeles Police Department?
At the time I talked to Mr. Ship?
No, sir. From 2:10 a.m., when you arrived on the scene, until at least mid-morning on the 13th, were you engaged in your profession as a police officer?
Yes, sir.
Were you being paid to carry out the function of a detective during that period?
Yes.
Were you giving that your best effort during that period?
I was being directed. Yes.
You were being directed?
Yes.
You weren't directed to the Bronco, were you?
Oh man, he just I'm going to say it, he just fucked himself there again. Because like I said at the beginning of this, when he found the blood, he wasn't told to go there. He wasn't instructed to go there. He wasn't instructed to look for it. He just wandered down by the Bronco. When he found the bloody glove, he wasn't told to go there and look for anything. He wasn't told to go investigate that area. He didn't tell anybody he was going to that area. He just wandered back there all by himself. And now he's saying, well, I didn't, I was directed in what to do. And then boom, well, nobody directed you to go down there all by yourself to the Bronco, did they? This is how you do it. Again, this is why we're doing this. Not to change anybody's mind, but to show you how a phenomenal, one of the greatest defense lawyers ever to walk planet Earth can cross-examine someone and can plant seeds of doubt in the minds of jurors by making him look like an absolute liar on tiny little things. And then all of these tiny little things he's been asking for the last 2 days he's been on the stand are all coming to a head right now. He has He's cast out so many lines, and in the background, they've been forming this net, and now he's hauling in the net. From here on out, what we're going to be watching next week is him closing that net around Mark Fuhrman.
Being directed?
Yes.
You weren't directed to the Bronco, were you?
No.
Pause.
You weren't directed to the south border of the Simpson property, were you?
Yes.
By whom?
Mr. Kalin.
Mr. Kalin ordered you to go out and...
So now the beach bum, the freeloading surf beach bum is giving him orders to go around to the back. Oh, Jesus, Mark, you've been caught in a lie. Don't make it fucking worse.
No.
You weren't directed to the south border of the Simpson property, were you?
Yes.
By whom?
Mr. Kalin.
Mr. Kalin ordered you to go out and look for where the noise came from, Detective?
No, he directed me by his statement.
Does he have the power to direct any detective in the Los Angeles Police Department, Detective Fuhrman?
Direction and the logical thing to do would be one and the same.
They're one and the same. Do
Yes.
you want to leave it that Cato Kalin directed you to go out and look for the noise or its source?
By his statement, absolutely.
Okay. You had no choice but to do that without telling anybody, correct?
I had a choice. That was a logical thing to do.
All right. Well, let's continue.
All right, we're gonna end this here on a cliffhanger. This is our cliffhanger today. We got to get ready to go over and start up the murder trial, the Florida murder trial that we're catching up on here for the next couple of days. But that's the cliffhanger. That's where we're ending it. When we come back to Fuhrman next week, we'll go back about 5 or 10 minutes so we can build up that tension again. But that is masterful cross-examination by a legend. And so for those of you that aren't quite exactly sure what we're doing by going over a 27-year-old trial, the answer is basically that. We're showing the highlights. I want to show you how a masterful defense team can create doubt in the minds of jurors. Reasonable doubts in the minds of jurors. We're not doing any of the direct examination. Maybe we'll do some a little later, further down the line, but we're not doing direct examinations. We're not going through every defense witness. We're just hitting the highlights, the high points, because there's so much of this we can get into. These are the things that I'm interested in that I think will show you brilliant lawyering at work. And that's what we're going to be doing here. Next week, we're going to be finishing up his cross-examination of Mark Fuhrman. And then the week after next, we will be going into Bailey's examination of witnesses that witnessed Mark Fuhrman's racism. And there may or may not be tapes with Mark Fuhrman's voice dropping N-bombs all over the damn place. Alrighty, 1 minute from now, we're going to switch on over. Until I want to say, hey, everybody in Florida, stay safe. To any Marines, U.S. Marines we may have there, happy birthday to you. And for the maritime people today, not only is it the birthday for the United States Marine Corps, it is also the anniversary of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. So if you want to go back 2 or 3 months, I guess about 3 months, in my Maritime Monday streams, there's a great stream about the Edmund Fitzgerald and that accident, deep diving it. Go back there and watch that so you can learn a little bit more about the actual incident behind the song. All right, with that, I need to hurry and quickly set this up because I just realized I have not. I was getting ready to dump, and I realized that I haven't set up the dump. Holy shit. All right. I need to do a quick setup here because I'm an idiot. All right. It was good that I caught that, because if I hadn't caught that, nobody would have got directed where we were going. All right. Redirect. Where are we going to redirect? We are going to redirect to myself. All righty. Boom. Save that bad boy. And then we are going to dump out. On your way out, please, during the next 20 seconds, reach down there and hit that like button. Thank you so much, and appreciate those of you that have subscribed today. If you don't get redirected, go back to my channel and click the live link for the Florida Matthew Terry trial. Take care, y'all. See you on the flip side on the other broadcast here in about 20 seconds. Oh, wait. Do we have anything? Oh, we got one last super chat. Okay. Execution. Okay. I'm ready to go play. I've got the machete from OJ. I'm ready to make everyone's throats ache. Well, that's what we're talking about on the other stream. Let's go. Everybody, we'll see you there for the next 20 seconds. Enjoy your legal vices. Bye.